Hey guys, welcome to this live webinar with Anders Haglund. He's not here yet, as you might see. He's just sent me an email saying that he didn't realize I need to download the app, the Google Hangout app, so it's gonna take him a few more minutes. So yeah, let's just wait for him for a while. I'm sure he's gonna join us in just a moment. So yeah, let me have a look. So you can, I don't know, type in hello or something for the while to see who's here. I can see, oh yeah, we have Tess is here at least. Nina, Palle, Ingrid, Signe, Helen, Tom, yeah. Cool. Again, there's a bit of a lag when it comes to the chat box. So if you have typed anything, hello, Nico. Here we go. Someone is hearing, saying, that's good. So for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Nico Leppänen, and I'm the founder of the Unlimited 2015 conference. I'm the host for this webinar series. Now we have Anders joining us. Great.
Hi.
So, hi. So this is these webinars are pre-conference webinars with the speakers of the Unlimited conference that's coming up on the 12th and 13th of September in Helsinki. And this time I'm really excited because, yeah, as you know, we have Anders Haglund with us tonight. So hello, Anders.
Hi there. Good to be here.
Yeah, are you in Denmark right now?
Yes, I'm in Denmark at the moment. I'm doing a seminar here tomorrow, but just got back in time to the hotel room to do the webinar, so I'm excited.
Oh yeah, cool. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, just to start off, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and that kind of things?
Yeah, sure. My background is that I kind of started out early thinking about performance. The reason being, of course, that I was an athlete myself. I started out wanting to be a professional football player, and I was choosing to maybe be a professional tennis player. But then I got ran over by a bus, which kind of stopped that in its tracks. So I started playing golf instead, and put all my efforts in there and became a professional golf player. And golf has that fantastic ability to make anybody humble. I could not believe that I could be hitting a tennis ball coming at me 150 kilometers an hour easily, and then missing a ball that was lying still just waiting for me. So I put all my efforts in. And also golf is weird in the way that there was such a big difference in how well I was playing that I started looking into it. Because in football, you could always blame it on the fact that somebody tackled you or somebody gave you the wrong pass or something. But here, immediately, everybody was really nice to you. They stepped away. Everybody was quiet. And so when you missed, you kind of knew that it had something to do with you. So that got me into personal development for completely egotistical reasons, of course. I managed to become the European champion once upon a time, and immediately wanted to be the world champion. And I realized that something had to happen between the years. So I got into it. I read all the books I could, every flight, every hotel room, I read books on psychology, and whatever I could get my hands on, I tried it. And had good success. I mean, I had pretty good success, but it wasn't until I was, what is it now, 6 years ago, ran into the three principles that I felt like coming home, that it kind of explained everything rather than me trying something and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't work. And for the first time, it was something that actually didn't work, but something that explained what was going on. So that was really exciting for me. And after that first taste of it, I dropped everything else, and since then has only been talking about this. And I've gone full circle. I'm now coaching a lot of people, going to big tournaments and championships and Olympics and world championships, and everything from race car drivers to tennis players to golf players to wrestlers and CEOs of bigger companies. Just about anybody who has a need to perform at a certain time. That's what it's all about. How do you actually, when you're going to, if you're a student, you're going to take a test and you feel very nervous and you feel like you're blacking out and you can't remember anything you studied. How do you get it back? Or if you're a manager walking into a meeting and it seems like I can't even remember what the PowerPoint was, what's going on? So that just interested and fascinating me, and getting it's a great journey, and that's why I'm coming. I mean, I've accumulated a few things. I've been a professional coach now for 19 years, and it's been fun.
Yeah. I remember when I talked to you, I know it was in the spring, we had a Skype chat, and I asked you, like, is it, if I remember correctly, you said that it's about like about 30% of your clients are athletes and sort of the rest are, CEOs and whoever. Was that correct?
Yeah. I guess the whole business world can relate to the athletic world, and so they are very interested once they see somebody who coaches athletes and they get better results. They realize that, hey, my employees could need some of that. I'd love to get a gold medal for my company or something, right?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to, like, what we could explore here a bit is what is some of the, like, because you talk about anyone who needs to perform at their best at a certain time, whether that is an athlete or someone doing a presentation or public speaking or a student going to an exam. What are the sort of commonalities there? Where does that, where does the sort of, where does that peak performance sort of stem from?
Yeah, it's the question I think everybody's looking into. One, where does it come from? Because I think we all have moments when we feel we're world class. It can be as easy as hanging out with friends at a dinner table and then walking away that night and thinking, that was pretty brilliant, those jokes I came up with, that was funny, well, where did I get that? It's it can be that, but everybody had a taste of having things flow. Most people know what flow is all about now, but we can call it many things. But it's when it feels like you're not working that hard and you get a disproportionate result from it. You feel like I didn't do that much and I got a lot from it. And the first thing that is a common thing for the people who has always performed well, because people have been performing well all through history, even before anybody came up with any principles of psychology, right? But it's been, the commonality is that they see the importance of the state of mind, the state the person is in, and how that at least affects performance. And if you study it a little bit, you can see that it really determines performance, that the way you feel in the moment kind of is the combination lock to your potential. So there's a certain commonality in knowing, at least, that I need to be in a good state. And you don't have to be an athlete to know about it, because I think anybody who's been out partying knows about it. That if you're in a party mood, you can go anywhere and have fun. And if you're not in a party mood, you can go anywhere and it sucks. Right? So so we know there's something else going on than what club you got into, or which championship it was, or who you play with, and there's something there, and the people who performed the best have started to at least look in the direction of the fact that there's been a hidden factor in the state of mind of the person, that how a person feels, and what they, what's going on between their ears has something to do with performance in a way that it hasn't been before. So, but the people who are champions always know, it seems. They always had that. So that even though they didn't have the words for it, it's almost like we came up with words for them. So when I talk to, like, champions of the past, and I tell them about, like, we've come up with this brilliant thing now, and the big champions just look at me and go like, yeah, that's what I always thought. So they, for some reason, had it without anybody having to teach them. They just didn't have a vocabulary for it. But it's that thing that I hope that people who listen to this or see this can start looking in the fact that it has something to do with where I'm at as a person, that I kind of bring my world with me. So, wherever you go, there you are. And seeing that is a big thing, that if you're together with somebody, your girlfriend or boyfriend will look better when you're in a good place, and you can swear it's because they're so good right now.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like worth mentioning that this is something, that flow state is something that we all have experienced in our lives many times, and that is also this kind of place where we spend, most of the time when we were children.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not something that's exclusive to high performance or something like that. It may be that in today's society, and kind of like I'm talking about mainly like the Western society and how everything like runs. It's not that often that you meet someone who kind of performs from that place in their day-to-day life, I guess, because it's, we have things like I don't know, chronic stress and that kind of things are real. We have real epidemic with them and with people. So I guess when it comes to like why we are doing what we're doing and why we want to point people towards this understanding that has been helpful for us, is that it's kind of fun when you start experiencing life as it is now wherever you are, but you feel like you're a kid again. Yeah. Or you kind of like you're doing the same things that you've done for a while. You work in the same place and you spend time with the same people, but your experience is different, and that's kind of like word looking for. I would like to, like, what I'm curious about is well, kind of like as you were talking about, people are starting to recognize that that the state of mind they're in is important when it comes to performance. Then the logical question that comes to mind is how we can spend more time there, how we can access that state more often.
Yeah. That is the most important question, I guess. To me, and this will sound a bit funny for people listening who maybe haven't grasped the idea of this yet, but you are actually never out of it. You are always in it, but your experience could be that you're out of it. So that when you have enough thinking, when you're internal between the ears, when the activity goes up, your mood always goes down. That's one of those principles that we can take to the bank, that if you see that somebody's really hectic inside their mind, where you look in their eyes and you can kind of tell that, you know, the light is on but nobody's home. you talk, but they're like they're not really listening. You know they're in a bad mood, and when they're in a bad mood, everything looks worse. And as soon as the activity settles down, the mood goes up, and when the mood goes up, everything looks better. So the problem here is, once you know that, it gets really hard, because until you truly understand, you try almost to see if you can think less, and thinking less can make you think a lot. And so it almost feels like a catch-22, you know, from the book, where no matter how many missions you did, they always just added missions. You had to stay in the war. It can feel like that. But the biggest realization is, it's almost like being present. You know, there's a lot of mindfulness and meditation and a lot of focus right now on being present, living in the now. And they all think that is something you can work at. But truth be told, you have no choice. You know, you have no choice. You're in the now, no matter if you like it or not. You're always in the now. But via your thinking, you can make it appear like you're in your past. You can think about something bad or good that happened years ago. And your experience will be that, no, I'm not here anymore. I'm in my past. But if we had a video camera on you, it would hold up in court as alibi for you if something bad happened somewhere. They wouldn't be like, oh, were you really there? And some people would say, no, I wasn't there. I was somewhere else in my mind. But you're always present. So that makes the question really weird. For me, who's gotten at least a little glimpse of the understanding, most people who want to get to the present always say, how do I get back into the present when I'm not there? But that question is kind of weird, because you never left, you're here. Right? So we are always here and now, and we have no choice about it. But via our thinking, we can make it appear like we're in the future or in the past or in another location on Earth instead of here. And then we ask ourselves, how do I get back? Now, as soon as you stop, boom, you're back. There's no doing in the back, because you never left. and that's so frustrating when it comes to the zone, because it's the same with the zone. You're always in the zone, but via your thinking, you can make it appear like you're out of the zone, like you're blocking yourself. You have a writer's block, or you have performance anxiety, or I don't dare to talk to people that I really like, or authority people, whatever it is that comes up. And it feels like I'm gone. How do I get back to being me? Right? I want to just be me, the full expression. And there's that question again. There's no going back. You are in the zone, and you are you. You can only, by your thinking, block that. And as soon as you see through it a little bit and just see that, wow, behind that, all that insecure thinking that I had, I'm already there. There's no doing in that. There's no doing in it. There's only the understanding that it just looks like I left, but it's very pervasive, because everybody's thinking looks truthful and real to them. So if I were to go back and relive when I won a tournament, you will stop existing. I won't see the screen. I won't, I won't probably see even my hotel room. I will be completely immersed in being in that golf course, or whatever you have in your mind. Or if you go through a bad place, it's going to feel to you like, no, I'm crying because I'm thinking about my dead father. It's not going to seem like I'm crying because I have all this thinking, because it feels like, well, it actually happened. Yeah, it did then, but to do it now, you have to do all these things. But to us, it doesn't seem like we're doing the thinking. It seems like, no, it's because it happened. And that's the little trick. That's the understanding, that when you see that you don't have to think differently, you don't have to think about something else, you actually just have to see that you're allowed not to take your thinking seriously just because you're the one thinking it. You're allowed to do your best even if you have insecure thinking. You're allowed to put your heart and soul behind what you're doing, even though you feel like I don't want to, or I don't want to, I feel like I'm going to mess up. I don't have to take that seriously. I can just do my best. And when you do, you usually find out that, my God, I could do it really well. Even though I wasn't like in the perfect place as I thought, because it works, because you're you, and depending on how much you practiced, it can be really good. So that's the main thing to understand, is that you're there. You are there. There's no coming back. There's no going away. It's just the appearance of it, and that's what makes it tricky for most people, in my experience with coaching.
Yeah, and I think what I've come to see more and more is that exact point. What you said is that it doesn't matter whether I'm, in the flow or not when doing something. It's more about like seeing, I guess it's about not taking your feelings, your thinking seriously in the moment. And I think that's the kind of global pitfall that many fall into, is that when it comes to when the time is to do something, to perform in whatever way that is, in whatever shape that takes, then they feel that they need to be in a certain state in order to have the to give their best performance. And there's a kind of, we have to admit that there's a logic there, that if you believe that, and then you're not there, it would make sense to do a lot of things to get there, right?
Yeah.
It just like it makes sense that, of course, I need to do something here right now to my thinking. I need to, or I need to do some kind of whatever that is. Usually it's especially, I think, with athletes, they have these rituals. It's so funny always, like, because I watch a lot of sports, and kind of like I have friends who play ice hockey and football and that kind of things, and then they always tell these stories about like when the players, the team is in the locker room, and there's like certain players who have all these rituals before the match, like they go through like putting on like dressing up in a certain way, and maybe going through some mantras, and all with the idea, with the aim of being in the right state when the time comes to go to the field. And I know that you kind of like, as you mentioned, this is not what you would tell to an athlete, that you should find a the right ritual or whatever it is, or something like that.
At least not for getting in the right state. But it could be a good thing, for example, for a golfer to have a ritual for hitting the golf ball, but only because there's a time limit on when you have to hit it, or you're going to get fined. So it's really good if you can from the time it's your turn until you hit it, that shouldn't be more than 30 seconds, because if it's more than 30 seconds, you're going to be in trouble. And to keep that going, it's good to be like a pilot, where you go like the right club, the right measurement, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got everything done. Okay, let's go. But that's a different thing from thinking that if I do that, I will automatically be in a good state. See, so there's one thing where you see that sometimes when I do it, I'm in a good state, but I've also done all that and I'm not in a good state. So it's not what determines it. It's just sometimes when I'm in a good state, it makes sense to have a routine. So, but it's so easy to make it seem like, oh, the routine was what made it make sense. It's the other way around. And once you see that, I actually done that both with both with tennis players and golfers. I told the tennis players almost every time that they hit a serve, they bounce the ball 3 times. So I said, try and not bounce it at all and hit it. And they hit it like normal. I said, so how come you have to bounce it 3 times? You know? And they go like, I don't know, but it feels like I have to. And that's the way it is. And it's almost like, well, one time I bounced it 4 times and I missed. So I think 3 is the number for me. It's so easy to get superstitious about it, you know? And it's almost like, somebody asked me that, well, if it helps the athlete, what's the harm? But that's almost like saying, well, every time we killed a pig, the sun came up. So maybe the pig has something to do with the sun coming up. So, and then when we start saying that we understand that the sun goes the way it goes without the pigs, people are still like, can we just kill them just for security, you know? Just to be sure, can't harm anything, you know, just in case, you know. But, and I think it could be harmless in one way, but the problem isn't if it's harmless. The problem is that if you feel like you have to do it, then you still have that, the way you don't understand. Like when somebody says knock on wood and they do this, right? Or to show that they have a wooden head or something. And if you tell them that, you know, that's superstitious, yeah, but they still have to do it. And if you have to do it, or if you have to keep your beard all through the World Championships of hockey or something, that's a classic, you know, you're not allowed to shave during the whole tournament. If it feels like if I shave, I can't play hockey, you know, there's something is up. You know, and it's freedom. It's all about the freedom. There's a lot of freedom in starting to understand that that is not where it comes from. I'm actually good on my own. I don't have to be, in my case, super Anders to be good. There's actually normal Anders is actually better. And it's really good when you're dating to understand that, because most people, when they go out dating, they don't meet the other person. They meet their representative. Because everybody's trying to be a little bit better than they normally are. You know, they dress a little bit better, they comb their hair a little bit better, they watch what they say a little bit, and you know, they put the best foot forward. And the problem is that that best foot forward is, you know, not their best foot. The best foot would be to actually put the real foot out. But we're like, I can't trust that. I can't believe that, because in my mind, I'm here and this is where I'm going. They don't see that they're going this way by trying to be something else, which means that it's almost the worst thing that can happen, that the other person says, yeah, I want to go out with you, because then you have to live up to it too. You know, you can never be yourself for the rest of the relationship. That's really hard. And it's a little bit the same with athletes or performing at your job or anything. You pay a high price for trying to keep a really good self-image. It's really painful. It's the one you are when you just do your best and put your heart and soul behind the task at hand is so much better than whatever you can dream up. And most people, when you take them through their life and ask them about what are your most magical moments or something like that, all of them have come when they weren't trying that hard. They have had good days when they tried, but the magical moments always show up when I just talked to somebody here in Denmark who said that I realized this when I'm normally always so prepared, and I woke up 7 minutes before I'm going to hold a presentation. I just took a quick shower and ran in and say hi, and that was my best seminar ever. And that was the first time I realized that, you know, the unprepared me, I didn't have time to do all what I normally do, and that was actually better. And I said, just have to take care to think that means that you should never prepare. Because when it makes sense to you that you need to prepare, then you should prepare. It's not a recipe of, if I don't give a shit and I never prepare, then I will always have those great seminars, right? It's so easy for the brain to try and hold on instead of seeing that we are better than we could expect when we're allowing ourselves to just, not take our thinking all that seriously, which means that, you're like a good friend. A good friend is almost always a person who doesn't take themselves too seriously. It's easy to hang with. And you yourself become easy to hang with when you're not taking your thinking seriously. And considering that we all are going to spend 24 hours a day with ourselves, we might as well get to, hang out in a good way.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. One thing that kind of like a question that popped into my head is that, okay, then what role does like practice and experience and skills play when it comes to this?
Yeah. When it comes to performance, well, we need to see, I don't know how many who's listening to this who have kids, but I think everybody has been kids, so it should be relevant. And that is that if you look at a kid doing anything, you can see that they have fun doing it. I mean, they can play with a little rock, pretending that it's a rocket or something, or they go running and they scream with delight when you pretend to chase them, and you can see the joy they have while they do it. And you can also tell that when a child is running, they're running as fast as they can, because if you even touch them a little bit to make them go a little bit faster, they do a face plant. Right? So they're running to the absolute maximum of their ability. So that to me points to the fact that we're all born with the ability to do our absolute best and enjoy it. But of course, when you're 3 years old, your running is not going to win the world championships. You're too small, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough. There's a lot of those things. So when you practice, whatever comes out when you enjoy them and do your best will be better the more you practice. And actually your practice will be better the more you enjoy it and do your best while you're practicing. So if you look to how we all learned languages, for you and me, English is not the first language. But if you look at everybody's first language and you ask them, how come you speak Swedish so good? Or how come you speak Finnish so good? Or how come you speak this language where you're born? And you ask them, how did you pick it up? They go like, well, I don't know. One day I just spoke it. It points to the fact that we are great learners when we're not trying to learn. That is why we remember things that we are told to forget. So you tell anybody to forget something, they know they would have to keep it in their mind, right? Yeah. And if you tell them that you have to remember this, then they forget it, because then they try. Because something you're about to forget, you don't try to remember it, therefore you remember it. And people understand that, because they always look at you and say, now you said I should forget it. Now I have to keep that in my head forever, you bastard, right? So, and that points to the fact how natural it is for us to learn. So when I ask athletes, why do you practice? Why do you practice? They say, well, I want to get better. And I said, okay, so why do you want to get better? And they went, well, I have to get better if I want to win. And I go, so why do you want to win? And if I keep going at that, they all come to a point where they go, because then I think my life will be better if I'm a winner rather than a loser. So no wonder they can be really pissed even in practice, because if they miss even in practice, they feel like their happiness is gone, right? So they put a big stake on it. And one of the things that I always tell them is, you have to realize you practice to get better. You don't practice to feel good. You feel good while you practice, but you don't practice to feel good. There's a big, big difference. But in our culture, we have it so ingrained that everybody would say that, hey, if you get better, then you feel better. If you win is much better than losing. But if honesty, that would be like, there should be no Olympic gold medal winners who are depressed or committed suicide, and we can have all those examples, and that's because it has nothing to do with it. That's nothing to do with it. But when you feel good, you kind of know what your own, I don't know, for lack of a better word, soul wants to do with your life. So if that is that, you know, ever since I was small, I loved running, right? And you become a runner. Or ever since I was small, I loved taking things apart and see how they work and put them together again. No wonder I'm an engineer, right? Or I've always been good with people, so I'm a human resource guy, or I'm a, you know, whatever it is. There's something there. Like every person, Albert Einstein said it the best, I think. Every child is born a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb, everybody looks like idiots. And our school system is built up so everybody should learn exactly the same thing at the same time. So a lot of kids grow up thinking they're idiots instead of having a chance to feel the non-pressure and the joy they had when they learned to walk and talk their language and whatever, right? They did that perfectly, so they're obviously not idiots. That's really hard. Anybody who tries to learn a language when they're adults know that it's not that easy. So it's they don't give themselves enough credit for how good they are at learning stuff and how natural that came when they were little, when they didn't try to. They were just throwing themselves into it, doing their best every day. And you get insecure, you cry, you hit yourself, you're hurt. You see kids, they do that for 2 minutes and then they go want to play, and they're at it again. Adults do the same thing and they look around and say, anybody see that? I'm not going to do that again, right? So that's where it's all at. So practice is necessary if you want to have better and better results when you put your best into it. So I want, for example, if by any misfortune I would need a surgery on my brain, I don't want I don't want just a surgeon who is in a really good state. I actually want a surgeon who knows what they're doing too. I want when somebody says, I'm feeling really good about this, right?
And I know the principles.
Yeah, I know the principles. And I've actually cut a few knees. No, I don't care how many knees you cut. If you're going to go into my brain, right? I don't care how positive and happy and, you know. So when it comes to the games we as humans made up for economy and all those things, it takes practice. We came out with a perfect ability to enjoy ourselves anywhere. We came out with a perfect ability to learn and a perfect ability to do our best. We did not come out knowing how to make a bed. We did not come out knowing how to balance an economic sheet for a company, or we didn't come out knowing how to paint a house. You have to practice to do that, but your practice is going to be so much better if you realize, like a child, that you just give it a go. My 1.5-year-old is right now learning how to speak, and he doesn't care that he's not saying the right thing. He just throws himself at it. So instead of saying come, he says you know. So and I know exactly what he means, and I know that I don't have to stand there and say, what kind of diction is that? Where's the K? You know, like, give me the K sound or I won't come. That's not. They do have it already, and they throw themselves in, and we can all do that. And when we do, we learn at an astonishing rate, no matter what our age, and we perform as good as we can.
Well, this is something I kind of want to ask you is, what about practicing the mind, or you know, because there's this. If you go to any bookstore where you have something about mental state, that kind of things, personal development, especially when it comes to the works of the mind, there's always the sort of underlying assumption that, of course, we can also apply like practice. It's the similar kind of practice model to when it comes to our mind and thinking and that.
Yeah.
So what do you say to that? Is there?
Well, you can do certain things. I mean, if you want to be really good at visualizing, you can, of course, every day visualize stuff and maybe get better at seeing clearer pictures. Now, does that help you perform things? Certain things, you know. so there are things where it's good. I know quite a few architects who are really good at turning things in their head so they can see what the house would look like from behind without having to run around it. And that is a good skill if you're an architect. So yeah, you know, go for it. And when you're in a good state, you'll be better at it. And when you're in a bad state, you will be blocked and not for your life be able to see what it would look like from behind, right? So, but of course you can practice those things, but it's the premise that the mind needs practice in the same way that the body does. Mm-hmm. That the mind is a muscle. And the mind doesn't work the same because the mind runs, I don't know, this might be esoteric, but the mind and thinking is more like quantum, which means that it doesn't have the same rules as the big stuff. So sometimes you can try and practice, like, for example, I know I lay down and I made like 1,000 putts in my head and thought that since I made 1,000 putts in my head, when I get on the golf course to do it for real, I would feel less nervous because now I've done it so many times, it will, you know, just be automatic. But it turned out that I managed to go there and become a little bit more nervous because I thought it would be really typical if I now missed after doing 1,000 in my head. So it doesn't really apply the same way. It's more like thinking comes with all possibility of the universe. It's unlimited possibility. And as soon as you take one of your thoughts seriously, the whole of that possibility collapses into a reality that you feel is total reality, but it's actually just your reality in the same moment that you take it seriously. So in any conversation, you could do anything from hit the other person over the head to say, oh, that was a great idea, or there's so many different, you know, you can't even stop. There's unlimited possibility available. But as soon as you get angry or you get loving or whatever you do, it collapses into that. So it's not as, it's much more floating. So practicing your mind to be happier is not where it's at. Because if you ask people why they practice, they probably say to get better results, but it's always the assumption that if I get better results, I'll be happier. So if they were honest, they wouldn't say that they were practicing their mind to I don't know, to be able to only think of one word for an hour. It's really what they're practicing for is because I think then I might feel better, I might be happier. And that it doesn't work for. It's not what it was intended for. But of course, visualization for an athlete jumping over a bar is a good thing to see themselves, him or her, doing a certain technique, kind of sets that infinite potential going in that direction, you know. But you don't have to work at it as hard, you know. It's more like if I'm getting in the car to drive down to Copenhagen like today, all I have to do is say to myself, well, I'm going to Copenhagen today. I don't have to sit in the car and go Copenhagen, right? It was enough to say direction Copenhagen, and then I can think about other stuff and I will end up there, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit the same, that you don't have to work that hard at it, but it's really useful to say that I would like, for example, my technique to be a little bit like this, and then let go of it. And all of a sudden you'll find yourself do it better because you left it up to that unlimited potential, whatever that is. You can't even name it. Whatever it is that we all felt, that there's something there where when we're in that place, it doesn't matter where we are, it's really good. and we can be anywhere, and it's just different, but it's good. And we all have access to that, and you can trust it. You can take it to the bank. That, of course, if you visualize and say, I'd like it to be more like this, but I'm not sure that it works better because you do it 1,000 times. I'm pretty sure that if you say, this was what I would like, and you leave it and say, this is it, and you will notice a couple of weeks later you do it better, just like you end up in Copenhagen just by thinking it once. You don't have to sit there and have complete focus. You leave it up to the place that makes your heart beat 1,000 times, or digests your food and splits it up into pieces and makes sure that you get new toenails. It's so that for me is everything is fine, but it becomes superstitious once it becomes a different kind of tool or something. But when it makes sense to you, go for it. When you feel like you have to do it to make a certain state come, then you're out to lunch, and you can feel it because there's pressure to that. There's never an effortless feeling to it. And when you don't have that, when you don't have that effortless feeling, you know something's off. And that's all you really need to know, because then you know when you're to be trusted and when you're not to be trusted. And I think a lot of lives could turn around massively just by knowing, now I can trust myself and I should go with my thinking. And now I really should, I should just sip it, don't talk, don't do damage, don't drive big machinery. just to know that we all have that we have times where if we allowed ourselves to act, we'd act like idiots, because we can feel it. We can feel it, but we don't see that is us at the moment having idiotic thinking. We really think that the world are full of idiots. And that's a big shift once you see it, that person I'm talking to is not an idiot. It's me having idiotic thinking. That's a big shift once you see it.
Yeah. There's something that came to my mind. Yeah, actually, I just wanted to share this thing about, because you mentioned that if you think that you need to do something in order to get to some state, you feel it. And I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, I was really into personal development, kind of like working on myself. And I had this sort of an image of a super Nico that's like super confident and super funny and charismatic, what have you. And then I was looking for, obviously I searched for how can I become that. And in the process, I've obviously came across like meditation, and I started to learn meditation or meditate for a while. And I've never had a pleasant experience of meditation because every time I started to, I kind of sat down and I was kind of like, okay, now I'm going to meditate. I was just trying so hard to quiet my mind, and that it was I just felt like so frustrated all the time, and now sort of when I look back to that experience, I can see that the only thing that kind of stand between the state where I wanted to go, the state of meditation or clarity or flow, whatever name you want to have it, was all that trying in that specific moment. And it's so funny. And also it's actually Jamie Smart talks a lot about the difference between the act of meditation versus the state of meditation. I think. Yeah. That there's a difference between like doing that meditation and then being in that meditative state. And I just like when you were talking about that, how you feel it, it's definitely like now I can see that whenever I'm feeling kind of like, you know, it's easy to, we have names for feelings, like different names of feelings, but when it really comes down to it, you either have like this constructing feeling, like pressure somewhere, or you have this expanding, just like being here, being in the present moment, you know, that feeling. And it's up to like, if you feel the pressure, that feeling, it's just like telling you that you have, you know, your mind is busy in the moment. And then, you know, that kind of like the feeling is the signal, right? So just to say that what's been kind of like, for me, what's the benefit of understanding more of these what we call the three principles, or the inside out nature of life, that we are pointing in these webinars, and that the Unlimited conference is all kind of centered around, is one of the key implications, is that you naturally are more in tune with how the system works. And just seeing that kind of like gives me, and going back when I said that I wanted to be like super confident and super awesome, whatever, like I was working towards these things. And now it seems like that I'm kind of, I seem just to like, when I'm in that state, I'm naturally, all those qualities, I'm expressing them naturally without trying. And that's what's really cool about it. It's kind of like, okay, so I kind of got there now, without doing anything, really, just deepening my understanding.
Yeah, well, it's a really cool distinction once you understand that your feelings are not telling you anything about what's going on the outside. The only thing they actually can tell you anything about is what's going on in your head. Yeah. And really not the specifics of what's going on in your head, but the quality of what's going on in your head. And once you see that, I mean, like in a relationship, I think few things have helped me as much as knowing that if I get irritated with my wife, before I could swear that she irritated me. Mm. And the fact that I now can easily see, not every time, but better make that sure, but a lot more times than before, I can see that it looks like it's coming from her, it feels like it's coming from her, but it's actually coming from me. And that stops you from putting your foot in your mouth and making it worse. And so not only does this understanding help you to perform better and make a difference in a way that you might not be able to do without it, it also stops you from making things worse and doing damage, and that can be equally valuable. You know, anybody who's ever said something that was, you know, destroyed a relationship or something like that knows the value of saying that I wish I could wind back and you know, take that back, to be able to feel and understand your own personal feeling that comes as a warning that you're about to, and be able to stop yourself from saying or doing or whatever it is, so you don't do that damage. That's invaluable in itself. And if you get a little bit deeper and you start seeing that the only thing you have to do is remove a few things through your understanding that are not real things that have to be moved. There have been imaginary things that look like they need to be moved, but since they're imaginary, as soon as you see through them, poof, they're gone. They're almost like when kids are afraid of ghosts or monsters under the bed. There's a certain age where that goes away, for most of us anyway. And that's the same that happens once you see this understanding. a lot of the seeming monsters that can be there when you're in your down times, they're not real anymore. And you don't even have to check under your bed, because that's the difference between understanding and knowing. When you just know it, you still have to do a little peek under the bed just to make sure there are no monsters. When you understand it, you just fall asleep. And that's, to me, is where the difference is in this. Once you have this understanding, you can do things in a way that's much more effortless and without fear. And when you don't have fear, you don't need courage. So you don't have to walk around trying to be courageous. You can just be you fearlessly living your life. And that's, to me and to the clients I've had, has been great. And I sincerely hope that everybody who gets their ass over to Helsinki will get a glimpse of that. And I'll certainly be there and do my best to make sure that everybody walks away with at least that little thing where it opens up and you can all of a sudden notice that, hey, something's happened. I don't have to change a lot, but something's different.
Yeah. So you mentioned Helsinki, so just kind of want to ask you a little bit about that, because we are so we said we have the first unlimited conference, and I say the first because there is an intention to have more of those, and it's coming up this September 12 and 13 of September in Helsinki, and you're going to be there kicking off the Sunday. I don't know if you knew that. Have I told you that you're going to be the first one?
I didn't know my schedule yet, but
yeah. But you're going to be because you are arriving on Saturday, right? You're coming from Athens, so you're going to be the first one on the stage on Sunday, kicking off. And I was just like wanted to ask you, what can people expect from you, and you kind of talk a bit about that, but if you can just like kind of give some kind of a
well, what they can expect is that they're going to find out a few resources that they had that they might not have known they had, and they will also find out that it's simpler than they think to perform at their best and having fun. And that understanding is very, very hopeful, and being a little bit more hopeful makes a lot of difference. That when things look bad, they're not as bad as they seem, because through the filter of a bad feeling, everything looks a bit worse than it is. And just understanding that, at least you can kind of take away the VAT from your badness. So, and that makes a bit difference. And then on the other end, you're going to have an easier time once you understand what I'm going to be talking about, but also what the other speakers are going to be talking about, because this is a commonality at the bottom here, and some will definitely get it from me, and others will get it from Jamie, and others will get it from somebody else, because it's actually something that everybody finds in themselves, and as I'm a good fit for somebody, and somebody else is a good fit for somebody else. And you can't really know, so it's always better to listen to everybody. Yeah. and because it's coming from you, and I hope to stimulate some of that, that where they find really that, hey, I didn't realize that I was awesome already, and once they see that, they're going to go out, and some of them are going to realize that what I thought was my thing in life isn't, and some of them will go like, I'm in the right place, and now I will just go for it, and that is a good place to be. It's going to be fun. That's the main thing. I know it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of laughter and a lot of fun, and also it's going to be some insights into something, and I think this is very important to point out, something that's always been going on, but we just didn't know. Just like Earth has always been round, but we just didn't know. Just like the universe has always been bigger than just our solar system, but we didn't know. That's and this is that is this kind of impact that people are going to get, is that I didn't know. I didn't know, but now that I know, there's a lot of things possible that wasn't before. And that is, I think, supreme knowledge, which is what we call understanding.
Yeah. That was I got really excited now.
That's good. So you're gonna be there at least.
Listening to you, so I'll make sure I'm gonna be there. Yeah, it's definitely in my schedule. So we've been going for an hour, so I don't want to kind of take too much of your time, and also anyone who's listening to this. I just want to talk about, because Kuntuka asked a few points. He asked me that, is it true that I'm in wheelchair, and how did I overcome the chains? Yes, it is true, and I'm kind of like, I was thinking like, should I bring it up or not in this? I was thinking that I kind of wanted to have this webinar about you and this stuff, and sort of dedicate to that. So if this is something like you personally want to know and want to have a chat about, can you like send me a private message and we schedule like a Skype chat or something, and I can tell you. Or if it's something that you think that people may find like interesting and valuable for me to tell about what I've been going through, or the chains or that kind of things, I can surely make like a video post or something and post it for maybe to the somewhere that you can find it easily. So let me know. Just write to me. I'm gonna write my email here because I'm not sure. And tell me what you think. Yeah, so that's that. Also, you wrote, you have the website there, the address to the Unlimited website, where you find all the info about the conference. And if this is something like, just have a look if you haven't seen it before, and see if it's something that resonates with you. You think that this might be something for you, like what you want to participate in. Then yeah, you can book your tickets from the website and find all kind of relevant info about Helsinki, about the venue, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really hope to see many of you there, and I really look forward to hearing from Anders. And yeah, so all right, please make a video post. All right, I will make a video post maybe tomorrow. So thank you everyone who participated in this live chat, and thank you everyone who, because this is being recorded and it will be uploaded to the Unlimited YouTube page, so you can either watch it later from there, or if you're watching the recording, yeah, thank you for coming this far, making this far in it, and thank you Anders for joining us tonight. And yeah,
I just wish everybody to have childlessly fun while they're performing.
yeah all right, I wish the same to you.
Thanks.
Yeah, all right, so
be well.
Yeah, be well. Good night everyone.